Welcome to Motivational Wealth.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving into a really fascinating financial scenario. And it's one that, well, at its heart, it kind of mirrors a powerful journey. A
Yeah.
journey from, feeling overwhelmed by burden to finding true liberation.
hmm It reminds me in a way of the profound sense of freedom that comes with, uh, spiritual liberation, like the gift of salvation, a path from debt to freedom.
Exactly. And the situation we're looking at comes from a listener, actually. It was outlined in a cash flow YouTube video recently.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's about this couple, right? They run, is it 11 coffee shops?
11, yeah, employing about 100 people. And last year, their revenue was pretty substantial, $4.2 million.
Wow. Okay, so on the surface, that sounds like a huge success.
It does,
Yeah.
absolutely. But there's the other side of the coin. They're carrying a significant amount of debt,
Right. That was the core issue, wasn't it? How much was it again?
around $4 million total.
4 million. Okay. So revenue high, but debt equally high. What kind of debt is it?
It's a mix. SBA loans, vehicle loans, some personal debt, and they also have this house they're flipping.
Ah, the flip house. Yeah, I remember that detail.
Wow.
Valued at what, $280,000? And that they're hoping to finish it soon.
Yeah, within the next 90 days or so, that's the plan.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
But despite all that activity, and a pretty hefty household income too, what was that figure?
Around $750,000.
750. Wow. How does that break down?
Well, the coffee shops seem to generate about a 15% net profit on that $4.2 million revenue. Plus, one of them has an additional day job bringing in about $250,000.
Okay, so the cash flow is definitely there. Significant income.
Right. But they're still, grappling with this big question. Which debt do they hit first? The business stuff, the personal stuff.
And that feeling of being overwhelmed, even with that kind of income, it's actually pretty common, isn't it?
It really is. It highlights that feeling of being, burdened, even when things look successful from the outside. How do you get from that feeling to genuine financial liberation?
Which brings us back to that parallel you mentioned earlier, finding that path of freedom.
Mm-hmm. Now, the advice in the video, it seemed quite direct.
It was, wasn't it? Basically, stop the house flipping right now.
Yeah. Just pause that. Focus entirely on the core business, the coffee shops.
And that advice, simple as it sounds, it really speaks volumes, I think. It highlights the importance of, focus, especially when you're facing these kinds of financial headwinds.
Spreading yourself too thin.
Exactly. Energy, resources. If they're diluted across too many things, like a main business and a side flip, it just slows down progress on tackling the core problem, which is the debt tied to the main income source.
So simplifying, cutting out the complexity, at least temporarily.
Precisely.
Right.
By setting aside the flip, they can channel everything focus, money, effort into making those 11 coffee shops as profitable and stable as possible.
Right. Strengthen the main engine first.
And then use that strengthened engine to strategically pay down the debt. It provides a much clearer path, a stronger foundation.
Instead of trying to do everything at once and maybe not doing any of it as well as they could.
You got it. Identify the core driver of your financial well-being, make sure that's running smoothly, and then tackle the other stuff.
So the key takeaway here, really tying back to that idea of moving from burden to liberation, it's about clear focus, isn't it? And decisive action.
Absolutely. Prioritization is crucial when things feel overwhelming. The advice to stop the flip and double down on the coffee shops, that's a perfect example of simplifying to focus.
Acknowledge the burden, seek clarity, and then commit to that focused plan. It's that intentionality that leads to freedom.
It really is. It's about finding that primary source of stability and pouring your energy there first. That's how you build the pathway out of the debt and towards real financial freedom.
Well said. And we want to say thank you for subscribing to Motivational Wealth.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We really hope these kinds of insights continue to give you that life-changing wealth-building motivation. Remember, that journey to financial well-being, it often mirrors that deeper path toward liberation. It takes intention, focus, and ultimately, it leads to freedom from those overwhelming burdens.
So maybe a good thought for everyone listening is, what house flips, what secondary ventures or distractions might be pulling focus away from your core financial business? Where could simplification bring more clarity and power?
Something to think about. Until next time.